and welcome to this webinar hosted by the Music Industries Association. Bonsoir et bienvenue à nos amis français de la Chambre syndicale de la facture instrumentale. A special welcome to our French friends from the French Musical Instruments Association who are joining us this evening. My name is Stephen Greenall. I am the CEO of Warwick Music Group, a musical instrument manufacturer, and I'm also the board chair of the Music Industries Association. The MIA is the UK trade body for music retailers and suppliers based here in the UK, and we represent small companies right the way through to global corporations. Joining us on the webinar this evening, we have an international audience, so thank you for being with us. And we have music retailers, music suppliers, teachers, ensembles, and representatives from other trade bodies around the world. Welcome to you all. I would also like to acknowledge at this point my good friend and fellow MIA board member, Stephen Wick from Dennis Wick Products Instruments Limited, who've been instrumental in making this evening possible. Thank you, Stephen. Under MIA's policy of competition law compliance, Alice, who you will see on the screen, is going to share a brief statement with you all, if you just wanted to pay attention to that for a second. It's just going to explain the things that we aren't able to discuss on tonight's webinar. Thank you, Alice. And Alice is also going to be fielding questions tonight, so she'll be monitoring the Q&A box. If you do have a question, please either use the chat function or the Q&A function as you prefer. So over the next 40 minutes, you will hear from Fanny and Michael, who are part of the team who have led and conducted the research into the disinfection and aerosols and their impacts due to COVID. Notwithstanding the immense personal impact that all of us have suffered under COVID, the wind, brass and singing sectors of the music industry have been very badly hit, as governments unilaterally around the world last year, and with some common sense one might say, ordered the cease of our activities. Now our sector must demonstrate to politicians, school administrators, parents and to ourselves that our instrument sector can be used safely. The research you will hear from is one of the most important pieces of professional research undertaken in Europe and indeed the world. I very much welcome Fanny and Michael to begin their presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, MI, and hello to everyone. Maybe you can put on the presentation, please. So I'm Fanny Reyre. In my normal life, I'm a violin maker in France, and I'm a vice president of the French organization CSFI. With me is Jousserand, who is engineer, is working at Buffet Crampon, a very famous corporation, and is a member of the team. What we call the PIC project is a project which led us working together to try to bring answers to many questions this crisis and this pandemic brought to the musical world. So the team working, it's 7 people, which you can see there, donc Michael and Ménard, and there's Romain Viala. Michael and Milena worked at Buffet, as you can see. Romain is head of innovation and department of ITEM, which is the center of where you can learn, sorry, I forgot my English just now, learn how to make and repair many kind of instruments. And we called the everything else team. It's me with Jacques Carbonneau from CSFI and Nicolas and Camille from the trade union Force Musicale, who is the union of all the opera and the orchestras in France. And what is very important in this project is that it's not only scientists working, it's not only musical instrument world working, it's all together the musical world, French world, with the world of musical instrument, with some scientists support, and it's all together we work to bring solution. So it makes a very full project and a very strong team, thanks to them. So it's a multidisciplinary program since April 2020. At the beginning, we thought that in 3 months we would have finished. I think we'll go over a year from what I heard today. It's scientific research, always linked with professional questions and needs. You'll see some example of our work, and you can see it gets quite far into research and science, but we never forget it's just aiming to get useful information for the musical life. We never forget that. We've got 2 aims. It's addressed to authorities to help them to take rational decisions. In England, as in France, as in many countries, the cultural life has been stopped because many cases it's more because it's viewed as not a very essential part of a life. We have to work, we have to maybe go to school, but to go to see a concert is not that essential, or to practice music. So it's very important to have a strong and elaborate information to tell them, to help them to change their mind on that subject. And I put it on the bottom, not because it's the last one, but it's because it's a very important one. The aim of this work is to offer practical solutions for musicians, instrument makers, repairers, and dealers, so they can do what need to be done with their instrument, or they can play safely and be sure to be playing safely, even if the pandemic is still on. So these are the 2 parts we are going to present you. One part is about all the work we've done on disinfection. And the second part is the work we've done on instrumental and vocal practice. And I'm sure by the time you already have heard about aerosols. And we did this work to understand really what was happening with this musical instrument when you are singing. And this is the first part, and this is where Mikkel is going to start to oh no, maybe this is for me again. That's the everything else part of the job. So this part of the program, we were very, very lucky to get from the beginning a support from a French Minister of Culture. But for this part of the program, as it was really on disinfection of instrument, and it was really a question for instrument making world, we ask companies to bring up monies to do the project, and thanks Dennis Wick, who gave us a donation, and we also had the support of NAM and Consolme, and the other ones are the French makers. And it's not only wind makers, because you see there's also the harps, Kamak, and the little logo in the bottom, it's one of the French associations for violin and bow makers. But they thought it was worthwhile, even though it was mainly work is mainly for wind instrument. It's not only for wind instrument, and it was very important. We should all support this program. That's for you.
Okay. So hello everybody, and thanks MIA to offer us the possibility to present to our current study. So at first, I want to say sorry for my French English, but I hope you will understand me as possible. So why a disinfection study? It could be evidence, but as you know, it was a new virus, it was SARS-CoV-2, and the transmission mode are not well known. Even now, discussed a lot, and mainly the efficiency of cleaning disinfection process against this new virus were really uncertain, especially in the beginning, because all the recommendation was based on other virus or other first coronavirus, I would say. And so from the beginning, we had different information, for example, about the virus lifetime on different materials. And also, as you know, musical instrument could be played by different players. At first, in a production process, when we make an instrument, we have to try it to be sure that it is working fine before delivery. So you need to be sure to send safe instruments. Also in shop, there is many try of instrument in shop, in exhibition, and also in music school. Some instrument could be shared. There was also the case of historical and all instruments, and the, I would say, big, large instruments as piano, harp, drums, which are shared a lot of many times. So, as you know too, musical instruments and parts are made from different materials and coating, which could be damaged by disinfection process. So one of our first concern was to try to see which solution, which protocol we could use on different instruments. And for sure, there is not one solution for all the instruments. You have to adapt your protocol to the instruments, depends on the materials and the coating he has got. Sorry. Okay, need to provide the disinfection process, and we wanted to be sure that it will be efficient against this new virus and compatible with each instrument. So at first, we wanted to remind you that when do you need to disinfect an instrument, because for sure, as soon as the instrument accessories has been used by a person other than its owner, loan, shared instrument accessories, you have to. But in all other cases, as long as the instrument does not change user, it's not useful to disinfect. You don't, if you use your instrument only for yourself, you don't have to disinfect it after each use. And for sure, cleaning and maintaining the instrument accessories regularly remains a good practice, even outside of any epidemic periods. Speaking about disinfection, how can I disinfect? There are mainly two types of processes. The first one as a contact method. In this case, you use a disinfectant or virucidal disinfectant is generally used associated with a mechanical cleaning, mechanical action of rubbing, whipping, swabbing surface. And there is also non-contact method, which one include electromagnetic wave like UVC, for example, heat treatment, treatment using a gas or mist, ozone, for example, or the last non-contact method is quarantine. You wait until the instrument is safe because the virus is dead itself. To date, contactless methods are not recommended, utilized, except in the medical or industrial field, because they could present risk requiring important precaution. So in our study, we have chosen to investigate only on, mainly on disinfectant efficiency, heat treatment, and quarantine against SARS-CoV-2. So as we said, we wanted to work with real COVID-19. So for that, we had to find the partners, and hopefully we since May 2020, we start to speak with UVE, which one is a Unité des virus émergents. It's located in Marseille, and it's INSERM Institute part. So all the experiments we will present to you after were conducted with real SARS-CoV-2, and you have the concentration of the virus and how we made it, and we put each time a quantity of virus on different materials or instruments. So to do this work, you need to have a biosafety level 3 certified scientific laboratory, and for sure the experiment has to be done conducted by experienced engineers with authorization. So thanks to Boris Pastorino, Franck Touré, supervised by Professor Reyre. Just to speak about Professor Reyre a little bit, so he's a professor of virology. He's a specialist in many things. Maybe I will not read all, just to say that he did a postdoctoral at the WHO Reference Center for Tropical Disease at University of Texas Medical Branch, Grafton. He's author of more than 300 peer-reviewed articles, 24 book chapters, and was coordinator for 24 projects funded by NIH, European Commission, or the French Research Agency, and the industry company. I will go to the bottom. For now, he's the deputy director of this unit, the unit des virus émergents, and hopefully he was a saxophonist when he was young, so he was really happy when we contacted him, and was really positive to work on this project. So here it's an overview of all the modules we did on during this study. So there is at least 6 modules. You can see on the right there is a green button, or orange, or blue button. The green button, it's the work which one are finished. The orange are still in progress, and the blue is the result up to date. So at first, we wanted to test the disinfectant efficiency against SARS-CoV-2 of 7 products, because we learned, especially at the beginning, many solutions or disinfectants which one could be used, but we did not know which one would be the more efficient, and if they were all equal, or if there is some better than other one, and things like that. So at first we did comparative tests in a standard protocol in suspension test. It was module 1. In module 2, after we tested it on real instrument, and we did 3 kind of protocols. One we did on clarinet, wooden and ABS, another one on mouthpiece, and last one on reeds. And it was to be sure that following this protocol, after put virus inside, there is no more virus after, and it could be extended. I mean, the result could be extended to other instruments for sure. We also wanted to investigate in module 3 the heat treatment efficiency, because especially at the beginning, we had a good hope that with heat treatment, we could kill this virus fast. For sure, you will not put a violin or clarinet in an oven, but for some instrument as brass, especially because it's really difficult to go inside the inner bore in a brass, especially large brass or big brass, it seemed to be a good solution. So at first we tried the efficiency of heat treatment on different copper alloy, I would say, and that's we finished this part. And now we are going to do it on real instruments, which one is a trumpet, using portative and inexpensive techniques, because we know that not everybody could have an oven at home. So the module 5 was a quarantine. So here we chosen 15 materials currently used in music instruments, and we put some virus on it, and we saw how long the virus stay alive. And when I mean alive, that means it can be infectious again. And the module 6, it's not finished too, because when we did the module 2 and we put virus inside the wooden clarinet, we saw that it was not possible to recover all of the virus on the surface of the wood, because in fact there was virus going inside the wood. So the model 6, it's about to see, using different species of wood, if the virus go inside the wood, okay, but could he go back, go out of the wood, and if so, is it still infectious? So we do that in with European wood and tropical wood. So this is the result about the module 1. So the disinfection efficiency. So we tested 2 alcohol. One is ethanol, and the second one is isopropanol. Concentration was about 70 and 75 degrees. And what we can see is that the efficiency. That means it's virucid when you have a reduction about 4 logs. I mean 10,000 copy. In 1 minute, there is no more virus using this product. We had the same result with like with bleach, with a concentration about 0.5 of active chlorine. We also tested oxygenated water. The scientific name is hydrogen peroxide, because it was also shown in the literature like efficient. But we had really bad results using that. And even after 3 minutes, we had only reduction of this virus about 100. So it's not efficient. It's efficient mainly maybe for many virus or bacteria, but for this virus, from our results, it's not good enough. So I know maybe you are using disinfectant following the standards as the EN 14476. The one which one are using oxygenated water as an active principle should be not the more effective. We also tried some soap, because coronavirus at first should be not really strong, and because of the corona, I would say you could break it easily. So we did 2 kinds of swap. One, it's a Klein D, and we have got good results in 3 minutes. That means a reduction of 4 logs. And the second one we test, we have got good results in 3 minutes when it was pure, but when it was dilution with water, we didn't get enough reduction. So as a conclusion, we can say that alcohol, mainly, if they have more than 70 degrees, they will be really effective about this, against this virus. Bleach also give the same result, but you cannot use liquid bleach on all the product. Important message is that oxygenated water doesn't show good results enough against this virus. And yes, if you have something you can use swap, it could work, but you will really need longer time to have the same effect.
Michael, it's already 20, so okay. Don't forget the time.
Okay, I will do as fast as possible. Okay, so that is just to show what we did in module 2. So this is an image from the lab. So we had to cut clarinet in half to be able to put the virus in it. And after we close the clarinet again to follow the protocol you can see on the left. So in this protocol, in fact, you use a swab impregnated with alcohol, and you use this swab from the bell to the bowel 5 times, and after that you cannot find any more virus inside. So we did it also on ABS clarinet, because with ABS we didn't have a problem of permeability, and we had a safe clarinet using ethanol, isopropanol, but also dimethylammonium chloride, CDDA, which one is also active principle used in many EN 14476 disinfectant. Okay, we did also a protocol for especially adapt for ebonite, because ebonite is a materials really particular and you cannot use alcohol a lot or things like that. So we test the protocol provided by Van Doren, and in 10 seconds it was completely safe. Also at the beginning we didn't work on weeds, because we were thinking that it was something you use and it's personal and we never exchange. But for double weeds, for example, there is a lot of case, or especially students, they need their teacher to help them to make their weeds, and they tried it, so you have to exchange fast. And we find a product which one is electrolyzed water, making also active chlorine, but in very small quantity, and it's safe. It's safe for the weeds. It doesn't damage the sound or anything, and it's safe against the virus after 3 minutes smoking.
So maybe I say that was very an important result, because we discussed with music school and conservatoire in France, and we found out very soon that there was a big problem, because every single oboe or bassoon teacher was trying the reed beforehand to adjust them for their their pupils to play, students to play. And at the beginning, we had no solution for them. And I think it's a great news that we can now certify that a very easy and very fast way. At the beginning of a year, the teacher used to adjust the reeds and then wait 10 days before giving them to their students. So this is more efficient.
Okay, so heat treatment, as I said, we had a good hope. So we put virus on plate of copper, gold brass, and nickel silver, and we tried a different couple of time and temperature. And at first we saw that 75 degrees Celsius, even 2 hours was not enough for all of these 4 materials. If we go up to 90 degrees, it's become more efficient. You are safe after 15 minutes for brass and nickel silver. But if you want to be safe on all of these 4 materials, you will need thermal treatment, heat treatment, about 90 degrees during 30 minutes. So that is not so easy. And at first we did also test starting at 56 degrees, 60 degrees, but we had any results. So it seems that we really have to go to reach higher temperature, and for minimum time about 30 minutes to really be safe. So module 5, it's about quarantine, as I said. So here you have all the material we have tested. So hard rubber, silver plated, nickel silver alloy, brass alloy, gold plated, different varnish, polyurethane, cellulosic, shellac, list oil varnish, epoxy varnish, ABS, and 2 kinds of paper from your printer, and a paper Barenreiter, which one is used for sheet score, and also can, which one is used for weeds. And what you can see, if it's in red, it means that the virus was always active after 3 days, for example, for ebonite, but it was not about 4 days. And it's different quite for each materials. And maybe the best is polyurethane varnish, which one is really used on many guitars or also on some brass instruments. And ABS also has got good results. But you can see, for example, that paper, in fact, in 6 days, you still have virus, which one could be infectious. So the test condition was quite 20 degrees and between 50 and 60% of relative humidity.
Mikhail, I think on that previous slide, and we had a question from Nathan. Obviously, early on, there was discussion around, a period of 3 days was
quarantine.
So I guess what you're saying there is that we've got to be very clear about understanding the virus efficacy, and the length of virus staying on an instrument or music depends very much on the material.
Yeah. And in fact, it's not a really strong virus because, as we saw, if you use disinfectant and you can kill it easily, but if you left him safe, he can live really longer than what we expected at the beginning.
Yeah.
And for sure, there is not, from our results, there is no justification to say that after 3 days, it will be safe.
Right. Okay.
So just to tell, vas-y Fanny.
So we published some guides specific for each kind of instrument. The good practice guide is the general guide. We started off to reopen the workshop and the shops, music shops. But then you have all the different guides. We keep them up to date when we get the results. So you see the date of the last updating. It's the wood and brass wind instrument is currently being revised, and it will come within a couple of weeks available again. We published them in French and in English for all these ones, and you can télécharger. You can
download.
Download them whenever you want. We will advise you until the end of the year, until April at least, that you really download them when you need them, because we are going to make updating when we've got new information. So it's better to, if you have to recommend the guide to someone, it's better that you go to the link, better than keeping an old version. Okay.
Fanny, if I can also we just had a couple of questions come in, and just on those links, I know Alice has shared with all the attendees the direct link, and if you scroll down on that page to find the English versions, you'll find them there. It was very much appreciated that you've done the English version, so thank you for that. Just a couple of quick questions that have come in. Sylvie was asking on the materials, from a repair perspective, what about cases, leather, plastic, nylon cases? Did you do any investigation into those materials?
Cases, there is a lot of different materials. So I would say if they are made in ABS, we have the answer. If it's leather, for example, we did not test leather. But I think there is many disinfectants which one could be used on case too, but it was not possible for us at this time to test all the materials.
Understood, of course, thank you. Ron asked that he says he's been using an ultrasonic machine to sanitize brass mouthpieces. Do you know of any studies that have been done around that method in particular?
I know ultrasonic wave are used in industrial context, but to be honest, I don't have answered about efficiency about SARS-CoV-2 because we did not test it. I don't know if there is study about ultrasonic bath against this virus. I cannot say it doesn't work, but for us, it was not the easier way for normal people to use, so we did not investigate it.
Okay.
It's quite the same about UV, C, or ozone things, because there is paper showing that UVC could work, but it should be the good wavelength, good time of exposure, and many things, and it could be also dangerous if you use it in the bad way. So for us, we don't want people think they need to have a really complex protocol to disinfect it, that mainly if you take a swipe and you put a disinfectant and 1 minute after it's safe.
Yes.
Maybe you can put the slide in conclusion while we, because I've seen there was this question about quarantine time. So yes, 72 hours is not an universal quarantine time reference. You have to adjust when it's different materials. We've somehow found ways to disinfect every kind of instruments, or almost every kind. Maybe some are left, we don't know. And we do a scientific publication on this information. I have to include. No, quarantine time is really quarantine time. You put the instrument aside, or the reed, or whatever, and you just leave it for the time. Take him again.
Okay.
Do you hear me still?
Yes, we can hear you, Fanny. Thank you. Just a couple of other quick questions before I know we move on to part two. Firstly, I know this. We won't be sharing the slides because the research is not yet finalised, but a recording of the webinar is being made. So Lucy, don't worry if you've missed the slide. We will be sharing the recording and you'll be able to go back to it. But unfortunately, we're not going to be sharing the presentation slides formally because this is still slightly premature. You could say we got in there quite early with having you on tonight, so that's been great. Ian was asking, were any disinfection solution tests carried out on different composite brass mouthpiece?
Composite brass mouthpiece. So what is a composite made of?
Yes, different materials, I guess. But were you just doing a standard brass mouthpiece when you did your investigations?
When we did our investigation, we spoke more about raw materials or lacquered. I mean, for example, we did test with epoxy liquid, lacquered varnish. So if it's a composite using epoxy matrix, it should be the same because it's the contact in the surface and the fiber inside, if it's a real composite. If it's a polymer, we also had a result about polyurethane, which one should be the same. We have ABS, but I'm sorry, I have to be honest, that depends the composition of the materials.
No, understood. And Hannah was asking quite a specific question on your the validated and non-validated results in module 5 in your presentation. What was the difference between the validated and non-validated results?
Okay. Yes. So in fact, we took 5 samples of each materials and we put. I don't know, 3 or 5 spots of virus, 50 microliters of virus on these materials. And we evaluated, for example, after 3 days, we recover what is on the surface and we put in a culture media. Okay, you take what there is in surface, you put in a culture and
culture jar,
and if the virus starts to grow again, that means he's alive.
Yeah. Understood.
So when there is a X, it means he's alive. The results were alive, and when it's V and green, it means there was no virus.
Maybe no virus if it's green or V, and there was virus if it's red or X, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even if there is virus, he cannot grow, so he's dead.
That's fantastic. And just the last question, I think then we move on to point 2. And Owen, I can see your question. I know we're going to talk about practical tips at the end and a lot of great resources that have come out of this already. But there was a question from Pam around when you left them in that period, what was the situation? Were they under light, or was it dark, or was it natural UV light? What sort of environment were they in, those instruments, when they were left and you were doing those culture jar tests?
Yeah, for sure, it's really important because there was the Australian study, I think, at the autumn, and they shown that in special condition you can have this virus alive up to 3 days on glass, but it was in the dark and the colder condition. Us, it was, I would say, normal condition. The temperature was between 19 and 21 degrees controlled. The air humidity was about 50 to 60. And it was, I mean, during the night, he was in the dark, and during the day, he was in the light.
So it was in a sense, it was
natural condition.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, understood. Thank you.
We move to the second part.
Perfect. Thank you.
So the second part is quite impressive. It was characterizing emission by single and wind instrument. We all heard last spring these things about trumpet, which you should stay away for 12 meters, which is sort of I don't know in feet, but 36 feet. And all this terrible thing about the flute and the singers, what was happening. So it was really important. We had information. Some other teams in the world worked on that question, but last spring, actually there was no knowledge about that. No research had already been done. But it was very, very important to do some work on that, to do some proper research work on that. We did some work, some other people did some work, and it's what is important is that each team is doing a really good work, and our one did a wonderful work, but they talk together now to have consolidated results, because it's very important. We were not able to do things with thousands of trials on people or instruments. And so it's very, very important that all this information gets together and all these scientists talk together. And we don't have the full result yet, but by the end of spring, we'll have very, very strong and consolidated results on all these questions. So this part of the project is when the Force Musicale, the Union of Operas and Orchestra, really came in the field, and Buffet Crampon really dedicated the work of his team, of his scientist team on that project. Thanks to them, we had some scientific partners which are specialized in this question, and we had quite a strong support from the Minister of Culture. This is the area of Paris, and the Fondation Bettencourt-Schuller, who is doing a lot for singers and choirs, and Audience, which is institute who takes care of the health of a musician.
So I see the time, and I think I have to go really fast. I'm sorry, but I will try my best just to explain the schedule of our study. So we did our first campaign of measurement last September at Philharmonie de Paris in a rehearsal room, and our target was to characterizing emission by single wind instruments. I would say in real condition environment, I mean a research hall. So after this first campaign, we did a second one. Strong of the first campaign, we understood that if we really want to go furthermore, we need to do it in a clean room environment. It means a really special room with no particle, nothing inside the air, which one is really filtrated. So that we did in December. And each time we also complete this measurement with a CFD simulation to see the propagation of droplets inside the instrument and also inside the room for singers and wind instruments. Still in progress. Just maybe to say that ADER is the company specialized in aerosol measurement. And we work also with IRSN, which one is more about a lab about nuclear things usually. And Andeo is a company which one do the CFD. Sorry. Okay, I will go fast. So on the real condition measurement, we did at first individual measurement to see the level, concentration, and particle size. We did, here you can see the table of all the individual measurements we did. So 2 trumpet, 1 tuba, 1 oboe, 2 saxophones, 3 flute, 1 clarinet, 5 baritone singer, 2 tenor singer, 2 alto singer, and 5 soprano singer. And for the instruments, we try to measure at the plates, I mean the bell, the tone holes, the mouthpiece also without the instrument to see there is more, and the singer in different contexts when they read, when they sing some exercise. Okay, I will not do all, but just to. Okay, it's just an overview about one exercise. Oh yes, and we did, we measuring a particle between 8 nanometers and 18 micrometers. So it's really what we could call aerosol. Sorry. Some results here. This is the graph shown the concentration in X, Y, double I axis and the size of the particles on horizontal size. And what you see on the left is the saxophone, an alto saxophone, and what is blue is the blank. It means the environment without playing, and what you see in red, this is the effect of the saxophone playing, and the graph in the middle with the yellow, this is the same graph, but this is only measurement after the mouthpiece. So the player takes the mouthpiece and blow directly in the machine. Here you can see downstairs some CFD. So it's the evolution of the airflow inside the instrument. So the color shows the speed. So when it's red, it's really speed, I mean airflow. And when it's blue, it's quite nothing. So as you can see here, there is airflow speed mainly in the neck at the beginning, but after, because of the curve, it will go to the wells, and after, if you look in the body, at the end, finally, around the belts, there is quite nothing, and the speed decrease a lot inside the instrument. This is an important result because with that, you can see that even if there is, for example, aerosol generated by the mouthpiece and the reeds vibrating, a lot of these droplets, especially the bigger one, will stay on the walls and stick on it. Okay, we did also wheel condition, a collective measurement in wheel condition. So we did Orchestre de Chambre de Paris, which one you can see here, and also a professional choir. And here we asked them to play during 1 hour in the same room. And we did measurement at different distance, 50 centimeters, 3 meters, and 8 meters. At this time, it was in September, and we wanted to see the effect of aerosol accumulation during practicing. That's it. So we did also a simulation of the collective practice and other things in simulation, but I will not have time to develop, otherwise I will not speak about the rest. Okay, this is other CFD, just fast, but here we simulate many instruments. We did alto saxophone, clarinet, oboes, flute, trumpet individually, and because we wanted to compare what the deposit of the droplets inside the inner bore. So here you can see a trumpet, oboes, and a flute. And what is interesting, for example, it's in a woodwind instrument, I mean, even if there is tone holes, the main airflow will go direct until the end of the bells. So even if the tone holes are open, the aerosol will follow, the smaller aerosol will follow the main airflow. That's why, in fact, it was quite surprising at the beginning, but the more important is to protect the bell instead of all the instruments. So the flute, it's a little bit different. because you put air directly outside, and we did also simulation, and mainly there is quite 5% of the airflow going out of the instrument and 5% inside. Okay.
Mikhail, just on that one, and we've had a question from Marcus Tyner from Consama, obviously one of the sponsors of the research. Welcome, Marcus. He was asking about, were the saxophones played with open keys as well in the aerosol study? Yes, in fact, for each instrument, we tried 3 or 4 fingering configuration. So we could, I'm sorry, I don't have the time to develop all the results now, but mainly, even if all the keys of the saxophone are opened, there will be more aerosol going from the bells than from the key. Yes, and just one other point, which I think Pam has asked about, and just you mentioned earlier about absorption into the wood. So, you know, if the droplets are staying inside the instrument, which means that there's not a lot of droplets coming out at the end of the bow, which of course as wind and brass players, we understand the concept of a moving an air column, but what does that mean from the virus staying inside the instrument? Is that what disinfection is so important? In fact, in your laboratory test, when we put a virus for waiting 1 hour on the wood on plate, we were not able to take it enough to make the standard of the virucid effect. But I don't think all the virus is going inside, because even in a clarinet, okay, it's dense materials, but when you play, there is fluids going out from the bell and going on the ground. So even for, I mean, a saxophone or a clarinet, you will, even if the droplets go on the walls, they will go down from the gravity and go on the ground. And even when you play, you can have on your fingers. So that is also important, because it could be a transmission mode. Understood. Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't know how much time I have got. But
maybe you can go over this quite quickly. Okay,
just to say that we also measured the exhalate air rate. I don't know if it's better than what I said yesterday, but to know, comparing the instrument and the singers, how much air they blow during 1 minute when they play. And for example, there is a big difference between, I don't know, a tuba, which one could blow 25 or more liters a minute, instead of oboes, which one blow only 3 or 4 liters a minute. Okay. So we did also in December measurement in clean room. This time we choose to test really less instrument and singers, but we were more interested about the variability. So we take only 5 singers and 5 clarinetists, and we ask them to do the same exercise for many times. And we tried to see the effect of the sound intensity and the note played for the clarinet. And we also tried to evaluate the efficiency of some protection as a mask for singers and a cover bell for clarinet. Okay, so this is a clean room. So it was less musical, because the musician has to play 1 note during a certain duration at intensity level up to 105 decibel. And just to show you a result on 1 clarinet. So in blue, EC1, so this is 2 machine recording. And in blue, EC1, it's when the musician played with the bell cover, and he plays 3 notes, the lower E, the throw B flat, and the high G. But here you see only 1 peak, which one is the lower E. And here on the right is the test without protection, and here you can see each note. So it shows that it's really efficient, and not only for the notes coming from the bells, but for mainly on all the notes, and more on the notes before the bell. Okay, so we did it also for singer. Here it's the chronometry, and this is intensity, and you can see that more singer sings loud, and more the concentration of aerosol is big. And here there is a graph on the right. AP it's with protection, and SP it's without protection. So there is a different singer. So you can see that, for example, if we take soprano 1, it's without protection. There is a high variability because the average is a red line, but the box show all the results. So when you ask her to do the same exercise many times, she has got really lots of different results. But anyway, in each test, it's shown that the chirurgical mask was really efficient. So I think I finish. You want to say, Fanny?
Well, so I take the good part of it, so I give you a conclusion. So that's why we couldn't give you, we don't want to share this PowerPoint at this stage, because the work is not completely finished, and it's not yet been presented in France yet, so we do that a bit later on. The wind instruments do not generate additional significant airflow. Large droplet deposit on the wall of the instruments and could stream. So what, I mean, Michael has already said that. So we can't say that there's a significant risk with wind instruments. But one thing everyone should take care of is this water, the liquid coming out of instrument. It has to be properly cleaned. Otherwise, you might get it on your hand and then put it on the doorknob or whatever and go on contaminating other people. So, I mean, it's very easy to take care of that problem, but you have to do it. Aerosol produced by wind and instrument and singer are really small. So this is a question we know that, but at this point, we don't have enough information to be able to say that make them less dangerous than if they were larger. We have yet to have more. Other studies are studying that point of what is the size of the aerosol, which might be dangerous. But at this point, we don't have this result. But it's probably a good news, but we can't say that yet. Mask and bell cover are really, really, really efficient. It's sure, it's proven, and as long as we have problem with disease, don't hesitate to use them. We will have scientific publication on that work, and it's such an extensive work that it may be going to be 2 scientific publications because it's too wide for only one. And as I told beforehand, the different teams, scientific teams are talking together, and they are organizing at this point some international exchange about the results, and to get to understand better and to be more sure about what can be said surely. And once again, I'm personally very impressed by the work they have done, my team and all the other teams talking together, and I'm thanking them again for this major work.
Thank you, Fanny, and thank you, Michael, for that. So I think it's worth noting that we really appreciate your sharing these results. They're slightly preliminary. I'm sure you're willing to answer direct questions to your emails that we haven't been able to address today. The other thing which will be great, of course, is knowing that you're going to submit your findings for peer review later when the research is concluded. I guess just one final question, if we can just slightly go over the hour mark.
Yeah, sure.
Thinking particularly as suppliers and retailers, we're particularly wanting to help our education partners, our teachers out there who are utilising the products. And Owen has asked, do you have any advice or tips for teachers of clarinet class that are handling reeds? I know the research that you've done, the practical guides that you've presented are really excellent in providing evidence, but what can we do to help our teachers? What advice would you give them in particular around cleaning regimes and particularly on reeds, for example?
Well, for reeds, we found out that these products we talked about earlier on are really efficient. And then it's very common sense advice, I would say, when you have to manipulate them with your hands, then you just have to have clean hands and use a lot of hydroalcoholic gel, how do you say that? Or wash your hands frequently. I mean, that's about it. I mean, one thing about this virus, I say that again, is it can be quite long-lasting when you leave it alone on a surface. But if ever you wipe the surface, it goes away on your wiping thing. So you have to take care of putting that away. But the mechanical effect of wiping out things is very, very, very efficient.
Right, that's very helpful. Thank you. And do you have a sense of a timeline for the Ewan Fox from 4 Bars Rest is asking, what timeline you have for leading to official publication? I know that will probably take many months, I suppose, but. So
that's it. Vas-y, Michael.
No, we have goal, but maybe we put our goal is to make the publication to depose the publication end of April, but I'm not sure we could, but it's our target, and maybe we will do a preprint, but we are writing this paper at this time, so it's quite difficult to.
So there's two things. The definite results of our work will be available probably at the end of March, first days of April, and then the peer review writing articles will come later because it takes time. But we'll have the definite results before, obviously, having the scientific articles on.
Right. Well, I think at that point then, I would really like to thank you both. I mean, I think we all appreciate those of us who've been attending today. And sorry, Michael, do you want to?
No. I just wanted also to thank all the people which one feel interest in this topic, and especially all the scientific around the world, because for sure we were not the first and we were not the alone to work on this file, and there was some team which one start to publish last summer, and there is more and more publication and interesting works in this file, and it's I think really a good hope for all of us.
Yeah, right. And okay, I just want to say one thing. But there's one good thing coming out of this terrible time is we managed to really interest the scientific world to our question. The very big difficulty we had at the beginning is to find with whom we could work, because this subject was not at all a special. They didn't know how to handle these questions. And so they didn't know if they could take time to answer the questions and to work properly on that. And now, 1 year after, we've got a lot of teams, whether they deal usually about aerosols or whatsoever, which are now got a real interest on musical instrument and musical practice. And that it's I think it's very good and very important for all of us.
That's great, thank you. And we've had thanks coming in from David Zimmer, I see, from Hickey's Music Centre in the States. Stephen Wick has said, brilliant talk, thanks so much. It's been an excellent presentation. I think we all also understand this is a journey. We're still going on this journey.
Yeah.
Reached a conclusion, and we also know from our personal experiences, and wherever which country we are in the world, variants of the COVID are still coming. So there's work to do, but hopefully this has been helpful to retailers, suppliers, anyone who's been watching this evening. Please do reach out to either Alice at the MIA. We would really like to welcome you back in a few months to update us on your official findings and present some more information. I know there's been a huge amount of scientific, proper professional scientific research that you've been doing in the background, hundreds of thousands of euros spent on this research. It's a remarkable achievement, and thank you so much for what you're doing for our sector and this wonderful presentation this evening. So we look forward to having you back. Thank you. Au revoir.
Thank you very much. Bonsoir à tous.
Bye.
Au revoir.
Bye.